What's up, YouTube? What's up, Xtreme Gainz family? I'm Chuck. This is Xtreme Gainz. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Monday, May 9th, 2022. This is the Amc Gme and SPY Algo Exposed daily update and preparation video for tomorrow and beyond. As always, I hope you were able to make some money today and take advantage of this absolute crazy, again, heavy downside market that we are seeing here lately. So obviously that is my hope for you. I want to go over all of the regulars that I always go over, my snake algos for Amc, Gme, and SPY, as well as macro comparatives. So with all of that said, let's dig in. On your screen is AMC. AMC finished the day down 9.01%. It had earnings in after hours that we live streamed here. Also, bear with me a little bit if I'm stumbling and bumbling and I'm hurrying trying to get this done. I streamed for like 9.5 hours today. We did stream the earnings after hours. It did get the pop after hours. It's currently up 3.12% in after hours. So just shy of a 6%, I guess, net day to the downside for AMC. Currently trading at $12.91 in after hours. The intraday snake is on here, how you see it. It took me to about noon. I did have it in a couple different placements that gave projection and fulfillment, trying to figure out the placement of it today. But nonetheless, around noon here at the diversion is where I locked into it and got the rest of the day projection and fulfillment. I left this on here purposely to show here in the update and prep vid. And here it is. It was a two-piece. The morning was a mirrored of yesterday's 5-minute. Right here at 12 o'clock on the dot, it diverted to the downside, which was the remaining portion of this inverted, meaning it was straight up because it started out as mirrored and laid on here and gave projection and fulfillment essentially the rest of the day here. And almost candle for candle projection and fulfillment, as you can see. So the intraday worked well. I'm going to go ahead and delete that, or at least move it out of the way. Why can I not get these things to move when I'm in a hurry? All right, the intra-week snakes. The previous one and the upside scenario, bullish scenario one, was the green one. The previous projection and fulfillment as you see it. Going into today, the projection from it would have been this upside move here to some extent, maybe some upside initial and then consolidation, and then potentially after hours continuation upside. It did not fulfill in that manner. It did break to the downside. I had this pulled in last night's video, this snake, in an attempt to stay out in front of this if we were to divert to the downside that I explained in last night's video. And that is exactly what happened today. We diverted to the downside, and you can see here 100% candle for candle projection and fulfillment thus far. There you can see the indication for projection moving into tomorrow and then potentially beyond if it were to continue to fulfill the length of this in the position that it's currently in without another diversion between now and then, which, as you know, can happen. But that's where it's at. I'll clean this up later tonight so that it ends here, and this will be a little cleaner to look at moving into the rest of the week. But that is what I am currently looking at with the intra-week snakes as well. The macro comparative for AMC, and I moved this. I wanted to talk to you all about that briefly. The green upside with the W formation and then a bounce to the upside, and the breach of the 1450 that I talked about did not happen. We continued to the downside and continued to follow the blue OG macro comparative. This macro comparative I have been using, as I've said in multiple videos since the beginning that I started way back in December, started streaming on the channel. It is the macro double-double, the giant W formation from the macro descending wedge prior to the January 2021 run-up. And the January 2021 move is right here. shown. And this is the supplemental and or alternate bottom that I had seen replicating from here, that I had seen replicating itself over here. And the indication of it was to the likeness of the intra-week snake to this upside move and breach of 1450. As I said, it did not do that. We continued to the downside and following the blue one. So therefore, this in that position would be invalidated, correct? On the live stream today, I was looking at a potential alternate position for this, that if this bottom, there's one last chance, I believe, for this to be this little single bottom and then go prior to another leg to the downside. We did complete that one, in my opinion, I would call it one half of the leg to the downside that I was talking about last night. It could be extended further, realistically, if the market continues to sell off the way it is. But according to this, I'm going to leave it as such and not try to project outside of that for the time being and just allow that to project. However, looking at this in a potential alternate position, showing that there is potential for this to be down in here and make that movement down in here. So what you see here is the initial projection from both the OG macro comparative, which appears to be a little bit of consolidation here followed by downside, whereas if this green were to be accepted and realized in this position and run this bottom up out of here prior to it coming down in here for this next half of a leg or leg to the downside, then it appears to be a little bit of consolidation as well, followed by upside move. The same levels that I was using previously are still going to apply in that manner and be applicable when looking at it like that. So that is what I am currently looking at with the macro comparative. So that's AMC in its entirety. GME, the intra-week snake on GME going into today was this green one, showing a move for fulfillment to the upside today. And again, that did not happen, just like AMC's. And I had clipped this ahead of time in preparation for a potential move to the downside. And what it did was fulfill this to the downside in that manner. The diversion happened today. So I clipped today and put it on there with it not overlapped. Well, I guess it would be overlapped one day into Friday, and then you get projection and fulfillment out of it today, with that being the full day overlap, if you will, and then you get future potential projection moving forward with that tomorrow and beyond, if it were to fulfill in that manner in the position that it's in, and obviously in its entirety, without a diversion between now and then, as you know, can happen. If and when it does, just like on AMC and just like this one here today, I would then clip another one, and y'all are, I think, getting used to the methodology that I use to clip the intra week. If not, no big deal. I'll keep clipping them and then just showing them out here. So this one here is invalidated at this time, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I just saved it to show you all for the time being. And this is potentially what I am looking at with the upcoming snake from a macro perspective. And I wanted to show you all this. Those OG subscribers here and members of the Xtreme Gainz family know that I've had this thing framed in for quite some time. This is GME's 4-hour macro chart using my box top method. I had framed in this macro double way back before we even entered this first left-hand side of the double W here on the left-hand side of it. And then I projected with a third pull for the top to hit here, which it did, and knocked it back down. I have this bottom framed in, and we are making our way back down into that. So that is the perspective from a macro box top when looking at GME all of last year and now the first almost half of this year in a box top formation where you have the macro box top, the breakdown, the macro double potentially forming here, and then what could possibly be a macro third laying out in front of it here for a potential upcoming hit if it were to establish base here. We'll talk about that if and when it gets down here where this becomes a critical point of support that would need to hold to get this move, or this becomes a check up and then continuation to downside, which none of us want to see. So if and when price action were to follow the current snake that is in there down into the bottom of this framed in section and start really replicating a double formation to be put in like this, these levels of support that are already in here will become significant, and we'll talk about them the closer we get to them, but we are edging down to that. By the way, GME finished today down 13.87%. It's currently up 1.22 in after hours, trading at an even $100 currently. Last but not least, SPY. The macro comparative is from the macro descending, it's from the 0809 correction and crash. The macro descending wedge is from AMC. This is the 0809 correction and crash. And let me just make a quick statement. If y'all go back into old videos of mine, way back in December, we were having a little talk and discussion about this in the live stream today, and y'all brought it up, not me. It was brought up that I had made videos back in December talking about how AMC could potentially do the $18, $15, and $12 downside to fulfill the macro double-double prior to making its move up. And clear back in December, I've been showing and talking in the same way, in the same amount of time, about this macro comparative from the 0809 correction and crash, and how I could see this potentially replicating itself. And then I actually went a step further and did some videos on Dollar Tree back in 0809 and its negative beta reaction that it had to the 0809 market correction and crash, and how that could potentially correlate and relate to AMC and the likeness of GME and potentially some other meme stocks that are I guess on record as having a potential negative beta and a long-term, specifically a long-term negative beta. So it's just funny now that you see this everywhere. I was literally talking about this stuff back in December, and I've been tracking these same macro comparatives on AMC and GameStop and SPY since back then. And y'all brought it up. A bunch of y'all in the live stream brought it up today and just said it's comical because now a lot of this is coming to fruition. And maybe I was ahead of the curve back then, or people just didn't want to listen to me or hear me. As a matter of fact, a lot of y'all showed up today and said that you were coming back, that you're now seeing things that you heard me say a while back that you didn't want to hear, and or you thought I was full of shit or just didn't want to hear it, and were bought into the other narratives that are out there. So I appreciate y'all coming by and coming back, and definitely appreciate y'all talking to me the way you did today in the live stream. So if you haven't checked those videos out, it may be something you may want to go back and dive into and just take a peek at. They're probably not the best. I mean, I'm sure I've evolved a little bit as a streamer. It was back when I very first started streaming, but these were concepts and theories in my head from a macroeconomic perspective, as well as obviously a financial perspective, looking into what I felt could be upcoming. And now here we are, literally what appears to be in that moment in time that I was talking about potentially happening months ago. So pretty cool. Just wanted to bring that up. So anyways, this is the 0809 correction and crash macro comparative on top of SPY currently that I've been going over. Here's where we are at in it currently. Obviously, just like last night, for any kind of move back with the comparative in this manner, if it is to be in this position, and this was not already the dead cat bounce here, right? And or the cliff, right? If this were to be in a compressed mode where this needs and belongs over here, that's something I will look at later. But obviously in the position that it's currently in, it's obvious that it would need to make a hard move to the upside to some extent and get back in line with making this fulfillment of this path here, as well as, just like I said in last night's video, this macro comparative has never been a representation of candle for candle. As you can see back here previously, it has been a suggested projected path that macro price action has essentially followed throughout. So again, this would, in my opinion, need to make some sort of upside movement initially and then start fulfilling this path in some manner. The current intra-week snake that I have on here is the yellow. I have been doing the intra-week snakes on here. I've only done 3 of them. This is currently the 3rd live one that I've tried on SPY. The first one projected and fulfilled 2 weeks, 2 days. Second one projected and fulfilled 4 weeks. And now we are currently on the 3rd one. The 3rd one's indication moving into today was, and I talked about this one candle last night, the up candle here, that it could potentially be projecting a short-term upside move followed by downside, or just straight downside. Because it's not candle for candle per se, we can go here to the 4-hour chart, is where it is most alike to the snake and the projection that it gives, and then the fulfillment that we end up seeing when it comes to this snake and the distance pull on it. Here is the fulfillment of today. The indication currently for projection from it going into tomorrow appears as so. Again, pretty much same narrative that I'm going to provide as description as I did last night. Potential for a short-term move upside followed by downside, and then obviously generalized perspective of next macro movement is downside. And real quick before I go, and last but not least, is the micro intraday snake on SPY, just like I showed on AMC. It as well had a diversion this afternoon. I got SPY on here around noon, about the same time that I got AMC's locked in on here. This was as well, we got a more, I'm going to remove this so you can see. I left it on here for y'all. We did get more of a fulfillment and projection and fulfillment out of it in one piece on SPY than we did on AMC. This was a mirrored version starting off the day, and you can see it gave full-on projection and fulfillment. Pretty much, this was a little inverted mirroring, pretty much until 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., there was a diversion. The last portion of this here was turned back around to its original state, its straight up placement, and that is what gave projection and fulfillment for the last part of the day. So a 2-piece, 1 diversion, candle for candle almost, projection and fulfillment again on the micro intraday snake, mirrored, straight up, 2-piece clip. These things are lethal, dead on accurate. It's just a matter of getting it on. So that's all I have for SPY, AMC, and GME for this video. I appreciate it if you made it to the end of the video. If you would, do me a favor, like always, leave a like on the video and comment on it for me. I would greatly appreciate that. Quick reminder, I will not be live here tomorrow. It's a scheduled premium Discord private live stream day. However, if things pop off to the upside and or go catastrophic to the downside, again, we would come back out here on YouTube and Twitch for a live stream out here. That way we can all be together in those times. But if not, I will be putting out an update and prep video tomorrow night after market close, like I always do. Appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Later.